Hey guys, it's Leesh, and welcome to another episode of Car Confessions. Guys, first off, good news. Got my nails done. If you can see this on YouTube, you can see my nail design. That's actually a better view. Got some cobwebs, some flowers, a pumpkin, a ghost, some stars. Yeah, I figured I'd have a little fun. Oh, my thumb, kind of the same as my pinky. Hold it back a bit. So yeah, I got my nails done yesterday. I figured, listen, get my nails done, do something nice, something that's like lifting my spirits. And I mean, I normally get my nails done anyway, let's be serious. But I think at least for me, I can't say this for everyone. I know it's been this year has been financially tough, right? And normally I'm a person who I don't normally like really look at prices of stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll buy it, whatever, right? Because I normally don't have to worry about money. But I'm finding this year has been the year where it's like, "Ooh, things are getting a little rough around here." And so, just being a bit more mindful of how I'm spending my money. And at the same time, recognizing that I need to take care of myself. And if that means I'm going to get my nails done, I'm going to get my nails done. Done. Or whatever. Bills are paid. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like just out here not being responsible. Air quotes here. But yeah. So it's like I didn't realize how intense this whole financial, guess we can call it a setback. I didn't realize how intense it was. But I am a person, especially when it comes to like money and stuff like this. Okay, this is a setback for a setup for greatness. And I truly believe that. I'm not a person that's constantly like, oh my gosh, woe is me. No, there's a reason why things are happening right now. I'm not worried about it. It's going to turn around in my favor. But right now, just, being a bit more mindful. Done. I just don't want to be negative with the thoughts and feelings around, you know, money, period. Because for so long I've been in that mindset where it's constantly like, oh my God, money's so hard to come by, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I have to change that mindset, at least for me. I'm not speaking for everybody. And I know everyone's situation is different, so please know that I'm not just dismissing folks that are having like really hard financial times right now because the shit is real out here. Today is what? October, what's today's date? Man, oh man. Today's October 22nd. It's Wednesday. And, I was talking about all this anyway, just because, you know, there's so many things that are happening in this country that affect people in ways that they probably would have never imagined would happen to them, right? My quote unquote first world problems are, minuscule when it comes to the issues that we have in this country right now. So many people are worried about their SNAP benefits, i.e., food stamps, and how they're just going to make it, given that they might be cut off from a huge lifeline in their life. And so, we talk about my nails and all that. It's kind of like, girl, get over yourself, right? And to that, I say, listen, I'm not even gonna argue on that because I'm not worried about food. I'm not worried about, for me, I'm not worried about food. I'm not worried about, how I'm gonna pay my bills. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. But I know people that are. And I have the ability to empathize with those folks. You know what I'm saying? Well, one, I can because I've been there. I know what that's like. I used to be on food stamps, the SNAP program, as well as, oh my gosh, all these people in this driving here, it is beyond me. But anyway, yeah, I was on SNAP. I collected money from the government in terms of welfare. I was that person at one point because I needed that help. I paid into the system, right? And at the time that I needed it, that assistance, I, got it. Was it the easiest process? Absolutely not. It's probably one of the most degrading things I've ever had to go through in my life, particularly because I actually started my SNAP, uh, like receiving SNAP and welfare assistance here in New York. And that process, like I said, humiliating. You just feel so bad about yourself because the people that work there, and I'm not saying everybody, but some of those folks that work in these offices, they're clearly overworked. They've had it. They've heard every story in the book as to, why a person's doing whatever. Also down to like, do you have all your paperwork? Do you have all your documents? Do you have this? Do you have that? And then people don't show up all their stuff. And so there's that whole other thing. So it's like closing down that and then bringing another person. And trust me, there's tons of people that come to these facilities seeking help. And so, it's constantly like it's a factory, boom, in and out, in and out, in and out. And so I can imagine someone being overworked and overwhelmed with that type of work completely. And at the same time, it's like, a lot of people that are seeking this assistance, I'll speak for myself. When I was seeking that assistance, I was so low. I was so depressed. I just did not feel like there was light at the end of the tunnel. Even though deep down in my core, I knew things would get better, but in that present moment, in that time frame, and I'm talking about I was collecting public assistance from, ooh, I would say from like 2000 and like six until trying to think 2006 until 2010. And during that time, my daughter was very young. I was also on the WIC program, the whole nine. I was collecting Medicaid for our health insurance, all those things. And thinking about myself back then, right? Just thinking about who I was at that time and how vulnerable I felt at that time. If I would have received that information at that time in my life, let me tell you something. I think that would have broke me. I think that would have been the last straw. My mental health was also struggling mentally. And I just felt like every time I turned around, it was just like nothing would work out. And I feel really emotional about that because I remember just feeling like, what have I done? I brought this child into this world and I am not capable of doing anything to help this child. I'm doing my best, but sometimes you feel like your best isn't good enough. No matter what you do, no matter, you know, you know, person you reach out to or whatever, it just felt like things were not getting better. And so, like I said, to get that type of information, knowing that your benefits could be cut off, that is, man, my heart is going out to so many folks when it comes to this. And I'm going to share some resources in the show notes as well about different places that you could reach out to either volunteer if you need assistance, things of that nature, if you want to donate, because it's so important that we start helping each other at this time in life. Because now more than ever, at least for me, realizing that this government, and I talked about this in the podcast episode from Monday, this government is it's all about them. They could care less about us. It's all about their egos being stroked and how they're going to quote unquote come out on top, and they want to blame the opposite party for whatever. And it's just like, who cares? Who cares? And I know so many people are like, oh, the Democrats are holding strong, they're not whatever. And to that, fine, right? Because you don't want to lose Medicaid and Medicare benefits. I think it's just Medicaid. Well, I'm assuming it's Medicaid and Medicare because they kind of go hand in hand, but I could be wrong. But to lose those benefits for Americans, yeah, that's crucial. That is definitely crucial. And we want to keep fighting for those actual benefits to be maintained or even enhanced. How about that? But to be in a position as a leader, I'm thinking, and this, I could be completely oblivious to how the system works, but if anything, I would be sounding the alarm if I were a Democrat leader. I would be sounding the alarm in the way that was so obnoxious. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if I am here to represent the people, right? I'm not just going to be in these chambers and wherever else, like, oh, this is day blah 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 of the government shutdown, and still the Republicans haven't shown up. No, put the pedal to the metal. You know what I'm saying? Like, figure out some ways to make this shit shake because at this point, people are suffering and you're still getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, Democrats and Republicans are both still getting paid. And so to sit here with this lackluster attitude and, this kind of like grandstanding, like, oh, well, we're here in the chamber. No, 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 no. Get out in these streets, do something that really shows that you are really here for the people. Because when you are actually up for a reelection or when you were, at the point of being elected, you were doing anything and everything just to make sure you got elected, right? Like you were, you know, sending out so many ads and Hey, you have people on the street canvassing for you. There were so many things. You know what I'm saying? There's so many ideas that were considered for your election, right? And for you to be elected. Why can't we do this same thing for this particular situation? You're saying, like, why is this so hard? I don't understand. Like, seriously, it's the craziest thing ever to me that we cannot find a solution to this. And I get it. Everybody's want to play hardball, whatever. But even if Democrats can't, really strong arm it and like, come to this conclusion or this actual compromise with Republicans, at least be out in these streets. You know what I'm saying? At least look busy. I'm like thinking about that because when I was a kid, like there was very rare that we have time to just be chilling. My mom always had shit for us to do. Now, was this the most healthy thing? No, no, it wasn't because we didn't always have to be busy. But it was just in her mind, like you just had to be doing something, whatever. But I need that type of energy. I need Leona Christian's energy to fall on these people. The fear that we had as kids of Leona Christian, I need that to fall on these people and they get their butts up and actually do something, like something, right? Like I said, get out and find ways to market, campaign. Like if you want to do like a smear campaign on Republicans, like at least do something. Because I'm telling you, the Republicans, they tried. Like we at least see them doing ridiculous stuff and trying to convince their base and maybe some folks that are Democrat or whatever else in this country too, who believe what they're doing is actually valid. I don't see the Democrats doing that. And if they're doing it, listen, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I don't see it anywhere. I don't see them really like throwing it to Republicans in the way that I feel like they should be doing. And then, like, also, once again, guys, like, I have to also keep in, and some people might not believe or think this, but I have to keep in mind, knowing the reality that we're in, that a lot of the shit that's happening in our government is like it's a stage. A lot of this shit is staged. It's like, some type of like performance they're playing out for their own benefit. And that's a whole other story, right? So it's like, is this just a part of the stage play? Like, Democrats, oh, we're trying, but no action, no real action, right? And then obviously Republicans just being themselves, no explanation needed. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This is just Leesh here, Car Confessions, just kind of fi figure it all out as best as I can. But at the same time, too, it's also me realizing that things are going to be what they're going to be in terms of playing things out. Feel like, and I shared this actually in a TikTok reel I made, just saying that, a lot of things that are happening right now in our country, they're trash. Like, it's horrible. There's no other way around it in terms of like trying to explain it. But a lot of these things have to happen in order for, you know, true change to come, into this world. Not even so much America. America definitely, yeah. We need a complete overhaul. So yeah, overhaul. We need a complete overhaul on this whole system because this mess is jacked. And I mean jacked. Like it is ridiculous. The way this system is set up. And you work so hard, you do all these things to think you're gonna eventually get to a place of like comfort and oh, I've made it. And there's like, oh, the goalpost has got moved 20 feet. Now you gotta get past that 20 feet. Fingers crossed they don't move it again. And you get to that point and then they completely get rid of the goalpost. There's nothing. So it's like a farce. It's like, okay, what am I even striving for? And I feel like that's where we are right now. I think it's why a lot of people too are like overworking, like over it, not overworking, like doing too much. I think they're tired of working, myself included. I think this whole idea of working and having these professions and these titles and all this, I think a lot of people are tired of that too, because it's like I don't care. I don't care about all these quote unquote accolades. How is my quality of life? Like, am I able to work, also spend time with my family, enjoy the city I live in? Like, am I able to do all those things? And if not, what is the point of me having this damn job? What is the point? Just to say that I have a certain title? Okay. Like, you still are overworked. You're still pissed off because you are completely, exhausted from that job, and also, upset about the fact that you can't have that quality time that you want with friends and family. Or that you're just so exhausted from work that it's like once you get home, you don't even want to think about leaving because that place has worn you out, right? So it's just I feel like, and this might be just me completely interjecting my thoughts and feelings, but I don't think so because I've talked to a few people about this. I think folks are just tired, tired of all the games, tired of all the lies this country has told us and games, and then just also tired of trying to meet a mark that's never actually set. It's always changing. You're never at a point where you feel like, oh, hey, I'm making some traction. And back in the day, I'm pretty sure folks not I mean, there were some black folks that were able to do this, but I think a lot of people when they're talking about like, oh, the boomers and they people get upset, oh, the boomers, they had the best basically experience of being adults in in this country because they quote unquote had the American dream. They really were able to see the American dream for what it was and reap the benefits of that as well. And like I said, for some folks that was a reality, but for many black people that wasn't a reality. So for me, it's like I don't even understand what this looks like in so many ways because the hope was that even after the fact that like my family that were a part of that whole boomer generation, even though some of them like and that what a lot of my family actually scratch that. A lot of my family did own homes and stuff, but the hoops that they had to jump through just to get that was insane in comparison to a white person in America. Like they didn't have to do all that. It was just there weren't so many loopholes and do this, do that. So yeah, I actually don't scratch that. I am correct. Like there were certain people who were able to actually do it, but the hard work that it took that was not even necessary. That's the issue. And I think that's also too where the majority of folks in general are feeling that. Like, hey, my neighbor there, she's so sweet. I think a lot of people, beyond the racial thing, everybody's feeling it. And it's like, how can I afford a house? When would I ever be able to buy a house? It's always these different things that we are, feeling like, okay, maybe I'll be able to do this, and then finding out that no, that's not the case because the way things have now been set, right? The new standards or the new way of doing things. And it's like, okay, I thought this was the way. I thought I was actually, on track to whatever, right? And then you realize, no, I'm not. I'm not on track for that. It's crazy. But even in the midst of all this, y'all, and I know y'all always like, oh, here she goes. Here she goes. Everything's gonna be fine. It is. Everything will be fine. It's not easy right now, and we're all just feeling the pressure. And I would just say, you know what? Let's just lean on each other. Let's be kind to one another. I mean, obviously, don't take any shit from anybody. I don't play that. But be kind to one another and help out however we can because it's so important. Um, there are a few resources I want to share with you guys here in the show notes. Like I said, if you're looking to donate, volunteer, or if you even need help, hopefully some of these resources in the show notes will help you, or you'll be a blessing to someone, or both, right? We just, like I said, we just have to help each other and just realize that we are all we have. These politicians they're gonna be on their stage, grandstanding, talk about nonsense. And for those of us who are realizing that it's nothing but some type of like production to them, we need to just wipe our hands clean of that, realize that it's bullshit, and then start doing the work to help ourselves and be in a space to try to rebuild this country because it's clearly collapsing or and I think we're in the final stages of it all. And so yeah, let's do our best to help each other. And if we continue on that road, like I said, we don't have to be best friends. We don't have to constantly be in each other's face, but we can do our best to help our fellow man, our human, for sure. All right, guys, I'm home. Happy about that. Gonna get up here and figure out life. Like I always say, y'all, let's just keep on keeping on. I love you. And hey, I'll see y'all next week. All right.